guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new entitled people content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled, Karen Breaks Into My House, Throws a Party. Insists she's the property owner. I experienced the weirdest thing in my entire life and felt like it fits perfectly here. A little bit of information to start you off is that I have a beach home. I also have what some people refer to as a baby face, where despite being an adult I get mistaken for a teenager, college-aged young adult all the time. Being only 5 feet tall doesn't help with that at all. I worked hard to get what I have, and my home is something that I am extremely proud of. I am in love with the ocean, and having a property basically right on the beach is like I am living the dream. I also work long hours to accommodate that and don't get to enjoy my home as often as I like. This wasn't a day I was working though, and in fact just a normal day where I went out to run some errands and have lunch with my mom. I wanted to just go home and relax, maybe even go outside and sit on the beach to unwind for a while. One last thing is that it isn't like a packed block with no space between houses, so the streets tend to not have a ton of cars. I drove up to my house to find most of the block filled with parked cars and even my own driveway having cars in it that I don't know. I was mad about that but also curious when I heard music coming from what to me sounded like my house. I finally found a spot for my car and walked towards my house thinking I must have made a mistake. Maybe my neighbor was having a big thing and people parked in my driveway thinking it was his. When I got to my house though, I knew that I was wrong when I saw the lights on and saw through the windows people inside of my house. Looking back, the one thing I would have changed was calling the police right away and staying away until then. I didn't think of that though and instead went right through my front door to try and figure out what the hell was going on. It wasn't a huge party, maybe like 20 people, but it was shocking. I walked up to the first person I saw and didn't even hide how upset I was. Me. What are you all doing in my house? Random guy. Your house? Karen invited us and this is her house. Me. Which one of these people is Karen? I need to have a talk with her. I was pointed out a woman that was in the kitchen drinking my wine and talking with some other women. I couldn't believe that this woman had a party at somebody else's house and didn't even know what to think. I was just seeing red and stormed right up to her. Me. Who the hell do you think you are? Get out of my house right now and take your little party with you. Otherwise, I am going to call the cops. Karen. I am the new owner of this property. I am having a party and I didn't invite whoever you are. Get out now. Me. You don't own this house because I would have remembered selling it. You break into my home, throw a party, drink my wine. This party ends now. The rest of the guests came over to see the yelling and some started asking Karen what I was talking about. Meanwhile, she was telling me that if I called the cops she would be arrested for having alcohol since I was clearly underage. I called them right in front of her and that was when she started to look a little bit nervous. Still, she was adamant that she now owned the property and then said the one thing that made me realize why she thought she would get away with it. Karen. Besides, I drove by all week, and I didn't see any signs of this house having an owner. From that I think she assumed the house was unoccupied and she could get away with doing anything she wanted. Some people here only use their beach homes for vacation and the rest of the time rent them out or keep them empty. The police arrived and some people realized that it might be the best time to leave. A few stayed and kept asking Karen questions like how did I get into the house and what was going on. She was running out of answers, which was bad because the police had plenty. Officer. I don't want to get into a fight between you two. I want both of you to show me your license. Where I live they put your address right on your driver's license. We both gave it to him, and he pointed out that mine had this address while Karen's had some other. Karen. That is because I just moved in here. This was my housewarming party, and she must have wanted to sneak in. I bet her parents sold the place and she was angry about it. She even claimed that the wine was hers so she could be arrested for underage drinking, right? Officer. Ma'am, according to this she is 28 years old. She can buy and drink alcohol. Now I have somebody doing a background check on the house and recent sales, so you two just sit tight. Karen was now looking nervous and started saying that she didn't really want me arrested for ruining her party. In fact, apparently the party was just ending, and she had other important things to do. He wasn't letting her leave though, and of course he got the information that it was my house, and it hadn't been put up for sale. Also, he confirmed my identity because she was still complaining that there was no way I was 28. Another officer found a broken window, which is I guess how she ended up getting into the house. She broke one on the other side from her party in the back where it wouldn't be too obvious to anybody. Her friends immediately turned against her and told her that they couldn't believe she lied about buying a vacation house on the beach. Since they didn't know they were allowed to leave, but Karen wasn't getting off the hook. After breaking my window, sneaking into my house, throwing a party, drinking my wine, and lying about the entire thing, I wasn't going to just let her walk away. I pressed charges and she was arrested and taken by the police on the spot. They told me she probably wouldn't be kept long since she wasn't dangerous, but if she came back to my house to call them right away. She didn't, and I didn't see her until we had to go to court to discuss what should happen to her for the crime she committed against me. I guess she had settled on a story with her lawyer that she was in the process of buying my house and the deal just wasn't on paper yet. That my parents sold the house and I wanted to sneak in and steal their alcohol while I still had the chance since I was underage. I don't know why her lawyer let her go with that story because it was so full of holes it might as well have been a sponge. My lawyer tore it apart in minutes and she was forced to pay. She had to pay for the broken window, the stolen alcohol, a fine for trespassing, and I got a restraining order against her. I don't know what happened with her lying to the police and if that was a separate case or if they just didn't do anything about it. There you have it, the weirdest thing that ever happened to me. I hope that after this my life can go back to being uneventful and full of me just relaxing on the beach and enjoying my house. I doubt Karen has any friends left and now doesn't have any money to save up and buy a beach house of her very own. Too bad, so sad. The next story is titled, The Time Entitled Dad Broke Into Our House. So, my parents divorced when I was 15. I'm an adult now. This takes place right after the divorce. So, my mom got the house in the divorce. Right after they divorced, my brothers and I came home. A window had been broken at the back door. My brother Al's, fake name, PlayStation 2, a Transformers DVD, and my mom's luggage and computer, she's a flight attendant, had been stolen. Now, the house we lived in was a big house. In order to find my mom's computer, which she used to trade and bid on trips since she's a flight attendant, you had to go up the stairs, all the way down the hall to the other side of the house, into the closet, and it was hidden at the top of the closet under a pile of blankets. Not sure where she kept her luggage, but I'm pretty sure they were at opposite ends of the house, so the thief would have to travel quite a bit of ground to get all that stuff. These were all things that were essential to her being able to work. After it happens, one of my brothers ends up calling my dad, and he shows up in steel-toed boots. To make it worse, the police refused to investigate, and basically told my mom that unless she, or someone else she knew saw someone doing it, then there's nothing they could do. This was before people kept portable cameras all over their house. A couple months later, my mom suggested we get a dog. This was several months after entitled Dad's bad judgment caused my dog to get put down. My dad practically gloated when I told him that we were getting another dog. He looked so happy and said, "I'm glad you're finally getting another dog. All it took was one break-in, and finally you're getting another dog." He said it in the most bragging tone you can imagine. We got another Labrador Retriever, this time from a rescue, and he lived till 2016 when he contracted throat cancer at 7 years old, unbeknownst to us, and he ended up living till we had to put him down at 7 1/2. Have had no break-ins since then. But people, this is not the end of this story. A few months after the break-in, when the insurance money had come in, my dad calls my mom up and starts telling her she needs to use the insurance money to buy my brother an Xbox, which was brand new at the time. One morning, when we were all heading to school, my brother asks my dad for an Xbox for Christmas. He said, "Your mother has money for an Xbox." Al. "No she doesn't." Dad. "Your mother is a liar. She has the money for an Xbox. She doesn't want to spend it." When we got back from the time with entitled Dad, Mom has to sit my brothers and I down and explain kindly that we have to spend the insurance money on stuff that we need, not stuff that we want. The next story is titled, They Took Down My Dad's Picture Because They Claimed It's Theirs. My dad is a hunter and enjoys taking pictures, videos of him practicing his crossbow skills, skinning deers and animal trophies, or just him making DIY squirrel and mouse traps, as well as posting his trail cam videos. Also he has videos of properly cleaning fishes during fishing season. This story was told to me by my brother and I thought it was a funny story cause they can't copyright a picture that's not in their state. My dad had been practicing his crossbow and took several pictures of the amount of times he hit his target deer model that he had propped up against a tree in the backyard. He did this in backyard during the afternoon while all the kids were at school and because we have a high fence surrounding our backyard, so nobody in their backyard can get hurt accidentally. After hours and hours of practicing he finally stops and goes to post the picture on Facebook. I guess a few hours later after posting the pictures, he must have got a notification that read, "So-and-so has claimed this picture for copyright claim," and that it was taken down. Dad doesn't understand what happened and does his go to bring his laptop to our brother Kirito, since Kirito is always playing online games and always on Discord with his many friends who know how to handle computer issues. Dad. Hey Kirito, what happened to my picture? Kirito takes our parents' laptop and looks it over, after reading the claim and making a report that the picture shouldn't have been copyrighted, before handing their laptop back to Dad and explaining what the notification meant. A few days later the picture was back up and the ones who had it taken down apologize for the misunderstanding. Which Kirito respond with something like, "Yeah, you better, cause our dad captioned it with our state, but they haven't taken down another picture from our dad." What was the reason the picture was taken down? A hunting company down in Colorado claimed the picture was from their site. We don't live in Colorado, we live in Minnesota. The next story is titled, "Reckless Jerk Van Driver Tried to Force His Way into Traffic While an Accident Was Blocking Part of the Road. Got Trolled by Another Driver." The other day I had to go to run some errands, as well as take a friend to the doctor and get his taxes done. On the way to the doctor, the highway had a bad traffic slow down. We were in the middle lane because all of the traffic was being shifted there since the right lane was blocked by an accident and several county vehicles, including police. We were just moving along when suddenly there was a loud blaring of a horn right near us. We looked to our right just in time to see a white stepside delivery van come flying down the shoulder and tried to merge in by getting ahead of another driver. And they nearly T-boned an SUV while trying to do this. The owner of the SUV stopped right where he was, and refused to let the step van merge in. And the van driver couldn't move forward because that side of the road was blocked off from the accident. The van driver was blaring his horn non-stop. I noticed the SUV had its left blinker on to merge, so I stopped and tried signal for the SUV to merge into the middle lane. But they just sat there. I couldn't wait forever and just got going again to keep up the flow. Mind you, the stepvan driver was still blaring his horn like a maniac. When I drove by the both of them, the driver of the SUV was literally yawning in a sarcastic-looking way as I went by. My friend and I thought it was hilarious the van driver was getting trolled for road rage. Most ironic that his happened right behind a car accident on the highway too. But I guess if the van driver had hit the SUV, the police were already there to sort it out. I don't know if the police got involved. We were out of there too quickly to see anything more. The last story is titled, "I Just Realized My Father is an Entitled Kevin." This just came as some ducked-up revelation. Here it goes. A couple weeks ago, I took my sister's car to a workshop for maintenance early morning. After getting a call from the workshop that the car was ready, I tried to get the car back myself, until, here comes entitled Pops. Again, I was meant to pick up the car by myself, until he butted in. We went back to the workshop together. I was given the car back, paid for the maintenance, and that was just about it. It took a few minutes to get my sister's car, until I needed to take the car for a regulatory checkup. Cue the following scene. As soon as I was getting details on what was needed to double check with the car, Father comes in and then begins yelling at the one who gave my car back. Yes, employees mess up every now and then, yet this doesn't justify my father behaving like some entitled moron, calling names on the personnel of that workshop. I couldn't help facepalming myself, as this is not the first time he behaves like this. Okay, I've let shit slip, because I was running short on time for the regulatory checkup, which would take me an hour or so to drive to their offices. I continued driving while playing music in a pointless attempt to forget that cringy moment. But then, my father went on another of his tirades about how people are idiotic punks who ain't worth a duck. All for the hour the entire trip lasted. Then, I made it to the Environment Department offices, where the car would be checked. It took an hour or so until the results of the car were fetched. Fair enough, the car passed and it can still run without us getting fined for the time being. After the results were good, it was time to beat it to my sister's place to return the car. I thought this would be a relaxing, return home trip. Big mistake. Pops went on another rant. This time, the topic of his rant was my older sister, owner of this car, and that she is a sloppy retard. Remember I mentioned that people mess up every now and then? This was pretty much the same thing. I was already fed up with his entitled tirades. The straw that broke the camel's back was when, after talking shit about my sister, he threw some nasty remarks about me and a friend I would play music with every now and then, saying that I was going nowhere with friends like that. As a response to his tirades, I instinctively yelled something in the lines of, "Yep. I know everybody ducking sucks, now shut the duck up." The rest of the trip was absolutely tense, with my father staring daggers at me for yelling at him to shut up. Almost on the way to my sister's place, he only asks me to drop him off by a supermarket, which I did, before Elle would finally hand over the car. I've been thoughtful about previous times he has behaved like an entitled moron and making us cringe at his attitude. Thanks for listening.